Okay, Mr. Jackson, afternoon. I think we're, Mr. Talafero is going to join us. He was going to be a few minutes late. Haven't heard from Cawthorn. And so we'll go ahead and get started. We've got a quorum. Mr. Jackson, if you would give the invocation, please. And Mr. Chavez, if you would do the pledge, we'll go ahead and get started. Call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Hopkins.
Here.
Cawthorn. Jackson. Taliaferro. Chavez.
Here, ma'am.
We have a quorum.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Jackson, if you'd lead us in the invocation, please.
Sure. Our hearts and minds be at peace as we go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for bringing us here at this hour. We ask you for your protection and your grace as we start this phase one reopening of our state and of our country. We ask that you continue to bless our decisions and bless our leaders who make decisions for you. We know that you are in control. We know that you are a God who heals, and we believe that in your word. Lord, we ask that you continue to watch over our state as we have seen our cases drop, and we hope that they continue to drop. We ask that as we move into this new phase and this new time, this new season, that you continue to remind us that you are in control and all things work together for them who live according to your purpose. We ask these in many other places. We ask of you in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody, please stand. Miss Nations, if you can put up the flag. Civilians, put your right hand over the heart. If you are a prior military veteran, you may render a hand to brow salute. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Are there any agenda additions?
I haven't received any.
Okay. There being none, we'll move to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
I haven't received any.
Okay.
Okay, now we
Anybody?
move. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do both, aren't I here?
Yeah. Now we move to new business. Just want to note that the certificate for teleconference is attached to the agenda. And the first item of business is to discuss resolution number 28 of 2020, a resolution to amend the Caddo Parish Commission bylaws to require formal requests for commission appropriations to entities not part of Caddo Parish government.
Okay. Anyone on the committee would like to speak at this time on this resolution?
Hey, Todd.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a note. I'm not at my house wearing a mask like a weirdo. I'm actually in the chambers, and part of the government rules of Government Plaza is to wear the mask. So in case the public think, why is that guy at home wearing a mask?
Okay. Mr. Jackson, I know you suggested we send this to committee, so I'm going to give you a little time if you have some discussing you would like to on this Rule 11.
Todd. Hey, Todd, can I hop on? Can you give me a moment to hop on my phone? Because I think my signal may be going in and out.
Okay, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. We'll give you a couple minutes for that. Afternoon, Mr. Talafero.
Hello, Commissioner. How are y'all?
Great. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I was thought I'd be a little bit later than I am. I was trying to find some good cell coverage. I was out showing some property in Webster Parish, and you might know I'd be in a dead zone. So anyway, I'm pretty fortunate that, I am where I am so I can get a signal.
Okay. Well, we've got to the to the actual resolution now. We're discussing that. I think Mr. Jackson had some points he wanted to look at or maybe clarify or bring up.
All right.
I think he was changing from his iPad to his cell phone, so we were going to give him a few minutes.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think this is better for me.
It sounds a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, a bad little spot up here on North Market.
Okay.
Yeah. Have we gotten to the agenda item yet?
Yeah, we're on the agenda item. We're looking at the resolution and the Rule 11 that Mr. Johnson had proposed. So I knew you had
Yeah, I
some.
don't know if you've opened it up for comments or whatnot. I have an amendment.
No, it's now for commissioners to talk about. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I just like to add an amendment that we allow, that we consider an exception, or we allow an exception for economic development and emergencies when an emergency declaration has been declared.
Okay.
Hello?
I got you. Yes, sir. And declared emergencies.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows.
Okay, so you've got a motion to amend that rule to allow exceptions for economic development and declared emergencies. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But I would need a second on it.
Is there a second on this motion?
I'll second to hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I know that Commissioner Johnson put this in place. LSU Health Science Center, but my thing is if we adopt this as it is and as it stands, I think it would tie our hands.
I think you're breaking up real bad, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, hold on a minute. Is that better?
That's better. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I know Commissioner Johnson did this after or in response to us approving the deal with the LSU Health Science Center and the EBT lab to do the mobile testing. My issue is I think it would tie our hands quite a bit on some things. There are some things that we just cannot foresee. And then there are things that have to move a little bit quicker through the process than some other situations. That's why emergency provisions are allowed. That's why we have the ability to do certain things on the emergency orders. And so I don't want us to just tie our hands specifically. One of the things that we will still require, I think, as I saw the email earlier, that those organizations still have to come back under regular rules and submit a request. They still have to submit a budget. They still have to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement. And so it's not that they will never have to do it. It's simply a matter of timing. And for us to get bogged down when time is of the essence, that also includes economic development. If we let this go into effect, or we let this go into become the policy, the economic development proposal that we have for Project Grace, we would be asking that particular entity to submit an application to us. And so, one, when you're in a very competitive process where you're competing for these projects, you know, if our competition doesn't require this, then does that put us at a competitive disadvantage? Are they going to be willing to disclose all that information in a quote unquote formal process? And then I think Commissioner Burrell raised a good question is, you know, how are we defining formal? Because I know in all the conversations we had with the medical school, Dr. Wilson was involved with it. Assistant Administrator Brian was on the email. So, you know, how do we go forward and define the word formal? And so that's why I would at least ask us to give some consideration. If we're going to do this, give consideration to that type of amendment so we don't tie our hands too far behind our backs.
All right. One of the things I had that I wanted to ask from legal, is there a real need for this to be in our bylaws, and couldn't this just be a regular resolution?
Commissioner, it could be a regular resolution. However, I would like to point out that right now, usually entities that come before you that are in the NGO budget and in the economic development budget that you consider each year already fill out an application. If they come before you and it's not during the budget time, they already fill out an application. This entity, when you got in LSU and when you did the emergency funding for the tornado aid and the flooding, were initiatives or things that were initiated by the commission. Those persons never came back and filled out an application, but they do have to go through a CEA and a reporting process. And you usually lay those out in the ordinances. If that's the process you want to continue with, no changes, no resolution is required because that's what we follow anyway.
Okay.
If you do this, then my question would be, are you creating an exception for projects that are initiated by the commission? Say if you're going to request somebody to do testing, if you're going to request Caddo Community Action to administer a program of aid, what's going to be the procedure for that? But if you know, if that's not something that you want to institute for the projects that you as a body initiate, then there doesn't need to be any changes.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else on the committee that would like to speak on this issue?
So can I ask Attorney Frazier a question?
Sure.
Attorney Frazier, you mentioned CCAA. So CCAA is not considered a part of Caddo, the parish or something like that? They're not considered an entity?
They are not considered a parish entity for the purposes of, it may be Assistant Administrator Bryant can explain it better, because I think it's a financial distinction that we have with them. But no, they're not considered a parish department.
I got you. I would also point out, I appreciate it, Attorney Frazier. I would also point out the funding request that we did for the study for the law school, which is moving forward. They laid out a 3-stage process to open the law school. That would have been stalled. So, you know, there are just a lot of caveats when we say that we want to do a quote unquote formal request. As Attorney Frazier alluded to, some things are not necessarily initiated by a particular entity. Sometimes it's us having that conversation and deciding to go forward from there. So it's just something for us to be mindful of, but I don't want anybody to say that I'm just outright rejecting this idea. So that's why I'm offering that
at least offering that amendment. But if it's the committee's desire to do nothing, then I'm perfectly fine with that as well.
Okay. Mr. Telefero, you want to speak, sir?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. You know, I believe the biggest thing is that we don't practice verbal consideration or verbal approval or verbal interaction or verbal response to or verbal application. I think maybe that's where we're kind of getting off the rails a little bit, that everyone that comes to us must fill out an application. And I think this is a good opportunity going forward to actually review that application, although this may not be the time and the place to do it, but review the application and ask the advice of those other than the commissioners, what they would like to see in an application in order for us to go forward and do the awards and so forth. So everyone that comes to us looking for some money basically has to fill out an application regardless. And is that what I'm hearing?
Commissioner
anyone.
Telefero.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Donna Frazier.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, when you all initiate the process and you all ask organizations to administer something for you, they do not have to fill out an application because you basically outline the procedure and what the parameters are going to be in your ordinance that you pass. Also, when you have economic development entities who cannot reveal their information, such as Project Grace, they come to the committee with via, say, Scott Martinez, and the parameters of the project without revealing information that would be detrimental to them locating here or detrimental to the
Okay,
company.
so it'd be sensitive information. Yeah.
Right. So they do not fill out applications. However, whatever conditions you specify in the ordinance appropriating the money is what's followed in the cooperative endeavor agreement, so that they do have certain parameters that they have to meet in order to receive the funds.
Okay, but so what I'm hearing also is that they may not be able, or they may not give us, or be able to give us, or choose to give us sensitive information that may compromise what they're seeking money for. I understand that, but we still have a written, quote unquote, application or request. Yes.
No, we do not have a written application or request to them. Scott Martinez brings that to you all verbally, and you basically put the parameters of what you want to give and how you want to give it on your ordinance. Say, for instance, Project Grace. He came in, he did that verbally to the Economic Development Committee, who then turned around and made a recommendation full body. And then there were certain provisions that you all adopted in that recommendation as far as clawbacks and the number of jobs that would have to be provided and the time frame in which they would have to be provided, that will all go into them being able to get those funds. But you did that via your ordinance, not via a written application.
Okay.
Attorney Frazier.
Yes. You
may want to also let Commissioner Telefero know that most of these cases we have to sign an NDA in a lot of these works.
Sure.
And they because of the sensitivity of the work, they wouldn't.
Yeah,
right.
I understand that. Yeah, thank you. So one further question. So other than the minutes of the committee meeting in which I, as the person asking for the money, that really is the only kind of what I want to say, the only record that we really have of the whole transaction. Yeah.
Well, your record is kind of, that would be the record that is then memorialized in the cooperative endeavor agreement.
Gotcha. Right. I get it. Yeah.
That is also of public record. Say for instance, in the transaction with LSU for the testing, you all specified certain conditions under which persons would be eligible to be tested.
Gotcha.
The CDC guidelines and the income requirements, those have to be made a part of the cooperative endeavor agreement in order for them to receive the reimbursement for those funds.
Okay, understood. Thank you for the explanation. Appreciate. Those are rookie questions. I get it.
No problem. You're welcome.
Anyone else
So,
on?
so Commissioner
Yeah.
Commissioner Telfair, that's why I was suggesting that if we do decide to go forward with something like this, at least carve out an exception for emergency declarations as well as economic development. Because my concern is when we start legislating based on, well, I just didn't get my way on this particular issue. I think what happens is if another Project Grace rolls around 3 months from now and we adopt this bylaw change, and Project Chariot rolls around and it's a 1,000-job initiative or something, next thing you know, we're going to them asking them, hey, we need an application from you. We need this. This is a requirement for us to even give you consideration. And they'll say, well, we're looking at Longview, Texas. That's not, so we're out of here. We don't have time for that. And so I think it will put us at a competitive disadvantage when we put rules in place. So again, that's why I'm either proposing to put the exception, to make some exceptions, or to basically say, our process is what our process is, and it's been recorded via a cooperative endeavor agreement. So they have boundaries that they have to work within. And so that's trying to, I guess, move the needle a little bit, but I'm really fine with the process as it is. But if people feel that we need something else in place, I'd ask us to at least consider these exceptions.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the committee?
Oh. Hey, Todd,
Yes,
could I comment?
yes, sir. Okay.
Hey, I just want to let the new commissioners know, and I agree with Attorney Frazier, that we've had several incidents in the past. For example, Wells Island, the flooding that occurred a few years ago. We had the Red River flooding. We had a Queensboro storm damage. We had so much storm damage in North Caddo Parish. They affected communities, and the applicants were actually the Caddo Parish Commission. Because they had a group of people responding to an emergency came forward with a need. So I would caution you, not box yourself in a corner that you couldn't react quick because you're waiting on somebody to do a letter. In that case, who's going to do a letter?
Right.
So I just wanted to, I agree with the comments that we need to not tie our hands. We need to be able to act quickly and prudently when emergency situations come up and not debate the merits of something.
Okay. Mr. Chavez?
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with Dr. Wilson on that. However, and Attorney Frazier, correct me on this, I'm assuming that this part that says the appropriations to entities not part of Caddo Parish government would suffice for that situation.
Commissioner, tell me what you mean by that. Because
Dr.
basically
Wilson cautioned us to not box ourselves in a corner to where we would not be able to appropriate funds for our own entity use for our own citizens. But I'm assuming that this entity is not part of Caddo Parish government would suffice to not box us in a corner.
No, because basically what that means, Commissioner, is that anytime that you're appropriating funds to another entity who may be administering your program on behalf of the parish, that would require the person to put in an application. Say, for instance, CCAA with flood aid, you add this requirement, they would have to apply even when we ask them to administer the program.
I got you. But Jackson's substitute motion would cover us because that would be an emergency. correct?
Yes, that would qualify as an emergency.
Okay, so I'll be voting in favor of Jackson's substitute motion, and obviously if it's the pleasure of the committee to move this to the full body, we'll go from there. That's all, Chairman. Thank you.
Let's just be sure, is the maker of the resolution, the author of the resolution, Mr. Johnson, is he with us this afternoon?
He is not.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone on the committee that would like to speak, or any other commissioner that would like to speak on this issue at this time?
Yeah, I just to close, I think that you know, I'm for putting this amendment in place, but you know, I think Dr. Wilson hit the nail on the head, and Attorney Frazier, they hit the nails on the head. I just think that when we go down this route, we have to be careful about what we're doing when we go down this road. So.
Okay. I just want to say to close, I won't support the amendment or the original, because I think we need to look at this a little more. If we really seriously want to set something up, we need to take our time, because there are many things in the future that we may not be thinking about, that we box ourselves in, and we do more damage to us and the citizens than we help. So I'm going to be voting no on these. Anybody else? This time we'll move for the clerk to roll call. First, the amendment to allow exceptions for economic development and declared emergencies to go with Rule 11.
Okay. Okay, Hopkins,
No.
Cawthorn, absent. Jackson,
Yes.
Talaferro,
No.
This
Chavez.
is, just to clarify, this is Jackson's amendment?
Amendment. That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
this
yes.
is not, this.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's 2 yeas, 2 nays, and 1 absent.
Okay.
Motion failed.
So that fails. Now we go to the original resolution to approve and send it back to the floor.
For discussion.
All right, it'll go back to the floor for discussion, but with whatever we decide.
Todd, who made the motion for the original?
I think Todd did. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I don't think anybody did. I'll make a motion that we table this particular item in the Personnel and Policies Committee for right now.
Second. Would you like anybody, Mr. I don't want to speak on my second. Would you like to speak on your
No,
motion?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else speak on the resolution approving it as is? If not, we'll move to the vote. Mr. Clark?
Hopkins,
No. I mean, yes, for delaying.
all right. Cawthorn's absent. Jackson,
Yes.
Talaferro,
Yes.
and Chavez.
Yes.
4 yeas, motion carries.
All right, that takes care of our new business. We have no other business. I would like to say to the committee members, while everybody's together here, that would you please take our bylaws and look at it. I think we need to, this year, this may not be the point right now to do it, but when we get back in meeting together, to go back over and do a comprehensive look at our bylaws and see where things may need to be changed, updated, or taken out. I'd like to do that this year.
Agreed. Thank you, Chairman.
Will do.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Just one quick, just before we get off, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you and Erica are able to, but there's a police jury call that's going on about the CARES Act money.
Yes, someone's on there now from the staff.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Cool. I'm doubling up. I'm just listening in. Okay, cool. That'll work.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
All right.
All right, we'll see everybody in the work session.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
Thank you.